This week's parsha, we learn about how the Jewish people traveled in the desert over the course of their journey for 40 years on their way to Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, beginning from Egypt. And the Torah teaches us how the clouds of glory accompanied them along the way. Sometimes it was there for a shorter period of time. Sometimes the clouds of glory were there for a longer period of time. And however long those clouds of glory were there, that's how long the Jewish people remained in that presence. But one thing I think is very striking from the description of this journey, it says numerous times, Al Pi Hashem, Yachanu Al Pi Hashem Yisohu, that they rested by the word of God and they traveled by the word of God. And think of it about it this way, there's this famous understanding, it's not so much about the destination, but rather it's about the journey, because Moshe Rabbeinu Moses, the leader of the Jewish people, kept on inspiring his people, inspiring the flock, that we will get to the destination, the land of Israel, the land which flows with milk and honey. And yet at the end of the entire story, Moshe dies before he gets to step foot into the Holy Land. So the question is, was his life a failure? And the answer is, of course not. But if we judge it based purely on the destination and not on the journey, we would say that his life is a failure. So I think what really underscores a very compelling and significant point, that our journey in life is not about the destination, but rather it's about how we travel this journey. Is it by the word of God, or is it otherwise? And what it teaches us in this week's parsha, as we travel through the life, and there are all these twists and turns in our lives, let us make sure it is always by the word of God. Folks, in our lives, many times we get focused on a certain goal, and a certain destination. Many times that's very worthy, but one of the shortcomings of that is that we lose focus on the journey to get there. Let us remember the lesson of this week's parsha, and let us always remember that our journey should be filled with meaning and a sense of purpose. Have a wonderful Shabbos.